2 years ago I asked my girlfriend, "What is 1 plus 1?" She replied, 2. I said, "That's correct, you're so knowledgeable. I still prefer a silly girlfriend though." Then I simply blocked her and erased all contact. Later, when I ran into her again, she approached and asked in a deep voice, "Want to run away? How many of your words to me were true?" This year's New Year's Eve dinner was crowded with relatives. I'm 24 and still in graduate school, so they mocked me as a bookworm. My cousin Ryan, who'd worked for years and secured a stable position in a large corporation, was the center of praise as the family lively discussed my shortcomings and Ryan's excellence. A beautiful woman exuding elegance walked by. When Ryan noticed her, he greeted her enthusiastically. She was the female CEO of his company, passing by coincidentally. The moment she stepped in, I froze. "Oh my God, isn't that my ex-girlfriend?" I panicked, stood up and prepared to flee, but she stopped me. "Uncle, why are you running? Did you do something wrong?" Speechless, I wondered why Elena was here. "No, Miss Elena, hello?" I stammered, my nose twitching. She nonchalantly ignored my wink, sat down, and my mom scolded, "Ethan, behave, you're so rude." My mom looked ashamed, as if her son truly embarrassed her. I had no choice but to sit back. Everyone warmly welcomed Elena. "Why don't we sit and dine together? Our family thanks you for your high praise of Ryan over the past 2 years," my mom said. I silently shook my head, overwhelmed. Elena is so dramatic. Why fear the new? How could I be satisfied with my surprise response? I looked up to see Elena smirking, her eyes gleaming with interest. She took the seat next to me, quickly ordered from the menu, and asked Ryan to help her choose dishes. My cousin Ryan assisted with a fawning expression. She smiled and asked me, "What's your relationship with Ryan?" Before I could answer, Ryan replied, "Ethan is my cousin, a bookworm who's never seen the world. Ignore him." My mom chimed in, "He's over 20 and still in school, so naive. When he saw you just now, he was scared and wanted to run away. No manners at all, he's really embarrassing us." Ryan disdainfully glanced at me. Elena frowned, ignoring the remark, then asked me, "Are you still in graduate school?" "Yes," I replied, turning away, unable to meet her gaze. "Which university?" she asked. I dismissed her, but my mom jumped in. "He's studying jewelry design at Han University." I froze. Her information was wrong. What I told Elena before was exposed. Worried, I looked back to see a smirk on her face. She approached and asked in a deep voice, "Ethan, how many of your words to me were true?" Still stunned, she stood up and declared, "After graduating, come work at my company. There's a new project that needs you to lead." Ryan suddenly stood up. "Ms. Elena, are you talking about the Burley project?" "Yes," Elena nodded, her expression stern. Ryan looked displeased. "Ms. Elena, are you joking? Didn't we decide I'd lead the project? How could Ethan, an undergrad who hasn't even graduated, take charge?" Elena stepped in front of Ryan, patting his shoulder mockingly. "I just realized you're so good at dealing with people, perfect for the front desk. Our company only has a female receptionist. I'll transfer you there." Elena left in her high heels, elegant as ever. The family was left in embarrassment, staring at me with disdain. "Do you know Ms. Elena?" I felt guilty, shaking my head. "I don't know her." Ryan sat back, dazed, clearly still unsettled. He'd been the family's pride since childhood, but Elena's actions just now clearly targeted him. After all, before Elena appeared, the dinner's topic was praising him and mocking me. My mom comforted Ryan, "You don't need to be too upset though. Transferred to the front desk, it's still a large company's reception. Ultimately, you're an employee of a big firm." Everyone's faces turned red with shame. My dad glared angrily at my mom. "You talk too much. Can't you see Ryan is unhappy?" The New Year's Eve dinner ended blandly, everyone finding an excuse to leave. I didn't rush to leave and pack some uneaten chicken to feed the stray cats I secretly cared for near home. After finishing up and stepping outside the restaurant, I bumped into a soft wall. It was Elena. She stepped forward, and I was forced to retreat into the storage room. She followed, closing the door. "Why are you still here?" I asked, terrified by her gaze, unable to speak. She looked me up and down, then hummed, "Want to run away? How dare you abandon me for such a ridiculous reason and disappear completely?" I'm so ashamed I want to dig a hole and hide. 2 years ago I asked her, "What's 1 plus 1?" She said, 2. I replied, "That's correct, you're too smart. I prefer a silly girlfriend." Then I simply blocked her and erased all contact. I can't bear to recall this, it's too shameful. "Miss Elena, I'm sorry," I muttered. Apologies are useless. You're a liar who deserves jail. Initially, I deceived her a lot, but we truly weren't a good match. "Why not?" she demanded, grabbing my collar and staring intently. "I met my future wife in a dream saying we're incompatible. Being with you would lead to disaster." She looked annoyed, yanking my collar and glaring. "Ethan, if you dare spout nonsense at me again, I'll kill you." Proving the disaster, I felt cold with fear, not daring to speak. Looking down, I caught her peach blossom eyes, unseen for so long. Though cold now, they gradually warmed in my gaze. I looked up at her alluring eyebrows in the dim room. She grabbed my collar, her warm fingers tracing my chest, slowly igniting a fire within. When she blushed, her peach blossom eyes became even more enchanting. I couldn't endure it. The more I thought, the more excited I became. I shook my head, swallowed dry. "Miss Elena, we've already broken up. Let go of the past." Just then my mom called. "Ethan, aren't you home yet? Do you want to sleep outside on New Year's Eve?" "No, I'll come back right away," I said, ending the call embarrassed. I looked at my mom and told her I was going home. She released me, stepped back and said, "You can leave if you want, but add me back immediately. Also, tell me your home address." "What? Our issue isn't over. If you dare lie or disappear again, I'll block your door." She pointed at my nose, threatening me. Under her pressure, I had no choice but to unblock her, enter my real address into the chat, and prepare to send it. "Be honest. Don't make up a fake address to trick me again." I blushed, quickly deleting the fake address I just made up and replacing it with the real one. Damn it, now I can't deceive her. Seeing the address I sent, Elena nodded approvingly as she left. She glared at me threateningly. Flashback over 2 years ago. I was preparing for a national jewelry design competition. Ryan sabotaged my jewelry plan out of jealousy. All my previous efforts were wasted. Furious, I didn't return home for the new year and went on a solo road trip. Unexpectedly, a snowstorm stranded me on the highway. Elena was also stranded, so we spent New Year's Eve together in a car. After escaping the trouble, we ended up in the same hotel. Fate, I guess. We met and became a couple. At the time, I didn't think this sudden love could last forever, especially with my family's influence. I didn't dare to approach her with my real identity, and of course I didn't know hers. Then I only knew she was a beautiful, cold-looking but warm-hearted older sister. She had neophobia and liked controlling things. She wanted me to sing Little Star to her to fall asleep every night. Before bed, I had to sing it on loop, never stopping until she slept. After a few months, I couldn't take it anymore, and school had started, so I had to return and break up with her. I saw all of this as a dream, never expecting to meet her again in life. Returning to the present, back at the residential gate, I received a text from Elena. "It's been a while since I heard you sing Little Star. Sing for me later." I shook my head, forced to smile, hung up, opened the door and went upstairs. As soon as I opened the door, I saw my dad sitting on a chair with a stern face. Seeing me, he stood up and said irritably, "Don't change your shoes yet. Go to Uncle's house immediately and apologize to Ryan." I stood still for a moment, then ignored him and continued changing my shoes. The slap hit my face. I suddenly felt my left cheek burning. "Are you deaf? Didn't you hear me? Apologize, or you can't celebrate the new year here." Looking into his cold eyes, I couldn't help but laugh coldly. I told him long ago if he'd said this earlier, I wouldn't have come back. My dad was so angry he raised his hand to hit me again. At that moment, my mom stepped forward and said in a strange tone, "You hate Ethan so much? Why not let Ryan be your son?" Exactly, I thought. My dad hates me so much. Others might think I'm his enemy's son. Since I was young, he's avoided me. I truly don't understand. When I was in middle school, I talked to classmates who all said parents love their children. I must have done something wrong for them to hate me. But I thought long and hard and couldn't figure out why I made him unhappy. Not wanting to waste words, I turned to open the door. "I'm leaving. It's fine not to celebrate the new year here." Ethan. My dad stopped. You think I'm bluffing? My dad's roar ended as the door shut. I quickly went downstairs to the community entrance, preparing to find a hotel for the night. Ethan. Elena's voice rang out. I turned my head and saw her stepping out of a Land Rover in high heels. Why are you going out again? She approached, looked at me and asked, What's wrong with your face? My face? I accidentally hit a wall. I lied, then changed the subject. Why are you here, Miss Elena? I was afraid you'd deceive me again, so I followed to confirm if that address was real or not. As she spoke, she looked at me with complicated eyes. I felt a bit ashamed. I had a history of lying, so her distrust was normal. The address was real, but maybe I wouldn't stay here. Where are you going? I was silent for a while. Find a hotel for the night. Think again tomorrow. Her eyes brightened and she said without hesitation, Which hotel can you go to? Come to mine. After my identity was exposed to me, she stopped pretending and took me to her villa. I'd never been there when we were together. Now I'm stunned, shocked. The villa's living room is twice the size of my house, simply but elegantly decorated, exuding luxury. After regaining my composure, I realized I was wearing one slipper and one sneaker. Embarrassing. She noticed, smiled, shook her head, then took out slippers. Change your shoes. I'll get you hot water to shower. I hesitated. Don't worry about your family. This is my private villa. I live alone. She turned to look at me with a bitter smile. I argued with my mom again this year. I'll celebrate my 30th birthday alone. I was stunned for a moment, my mind racing back to that night 2 years ago, New Year's Eve, when we were stranded on the highway. I had beer and snacks in the car, so I invited her to this simple New Year's Eve dinner. She asked why I was out on New Year's Eve. I said I argued with my family. Going home for the new year was pointless. But her eyes lit up. Coincidentally, me too. My mom and relatives don't like me. My dad's gone, my mom has her own life, so I'm superfluous. According to you, I'm also superfluous. We chatted for a while, but somehow both of us cried. Then she kissed me. In a moment of confusion, my first kiss was gone. Sister, I whispered. A tearful gleam suddenly appeared in her eyes. Don't say any more. Kiss me. Afterward, we became a couple. I called her excess. Ethan, put on your clothes. Elena's voice came from outside the door. I turned off the shower, opening the door slightly. I saw no one outside, so I went out. After showering and putting on the new clothes she brought, I felt refreshed. When I left the room, Elena had prepared several cans of beer waiting for me to drink. Have a drink, she said. I walked over, grabbed a can and drank dry. If you're still thirsty, what else do you want? She pursed her red lips and winked at me. I was scared, quickly opening the beer and taking 2 gulps to calm my embarrassment. Why is your face swollen? Did Ryan slap you? I was stunned for a moment, looked at her, then shook my head. No, my dad hit me. Your dad? Why? She looked surprised, then growled. Because of what happened with Ryan. Why didn't you say it was my fault? I'm really sorry I suppressed your cousin in front of your family. I waved my hand. It's okay, this is just the fuse. The root cause isn't you. No one in my family likes me, they prefer Ryan. My existence is probably just to set off his excellence. When I was young, Ryan bullied me. My dad always sided with him. If he was unhappy, my dad would blame me. I once asked him why he treated Ryan better than me. My dad said, we owe your uncle. If your uncle didn't work for me to afford school, how could I have today? We owe your uncle and you owe Ryan. You must treat Ryan well. Even though Ryan was so good, I still wanted to compete with him. Naturally, I wasn't happy, but I didn't know how to retort. My mom also didn't love me because my dad didn't get along with her, so she always thought whatever my dad liked, I should too. They grew up together, and my dad treated Ryan better than me. Their son not only resented my dad, but also sometimes me. When Ryan sabotaged my computer during the jewelry competition, my efforts were ruined. When I caught him, my dad still wanted to protect him as before. But my mom ignored my dad's opinion and insisted Ryan explain. In the end, my aunt cried and begged for Ryan's forgiveness. My mom had to give in. From then on, whenever I had conflicts with my mom, she'd get angry at me, as if using my painful experiences to compete with her. Thinking of these things, I couldn't help but feel heartbroken. Before I realized it, I drank a lot of beer with Elena. Elena sat beside me, my head spinning, and I asked her, "Sister, did you hate me before when I deceived you and broke up with you?" "I hate you. I hate you so much," she said. When I woke up the next day at noon, Elena was gone. Remembering she'd said last night, "I hate you so much." I quickly changed clothes and fled. I didn't even go home, taking a bus straight back to school. A few staff and students stayed on campus for the new year due to personal reasons, so I was still allowed in. Though the cafeteria food was ordinary, eating was much more comfortable than the New Year's Eve dinner at home. On the 5th day of the new year, I was still hiding in my dorm reading novels when my dorm mate texted saying a girl was looking for me. I was confused, didn't know which classmate was looking for me. When I went downstairs, I saw Elena in black stockings and high heels sitting in the reception area. I froze. How did she know I was here? "Miss Elena, are you looking for me?" I awkwardly smiled. "Yes," her expression indifferent, her voice cold. "What do you want from me?" I felt a bit guilty. "I want to find a cage to lock you in." She suddenly raised her voice. I knew she was talking about me sneaking away again. I didn't mean to run. I wanted to return to school to prepare for my graduation project. I lied through gritted teeth. She said nothing, just nodded. "Do well. After finishing, come to my company for an internship. When you graduate, I'll make you a regular employee. Do you hear me?" I was terrified by her strong aura and quickly agreed. After hesitating, I asked her, "Why are you so determined to have me work at your company?" Recalling her words when we drank on New Year's Eve, I always felt she wanted to get back at me, bringing me into her company so she could find me anytime. But the corner of her mouth curled up. "Of course I'm interested in you. You're an outstanding student. The company is collaborating with Group B and planning to establish a subsidiary in the jewelry field. Ethan, I'm optimistic about you." Seeing her serious expression, I was truly touched. Today, I just finished an interview and went to the reception desk when Ryan approached, smiling. "Ethan, you don't really want to work at our company, do you?" "Yes," I said. "I just passed the interview." The receptionist guy said we'll be colleagues soon. Ryan's smile suddenly became stiff. "Ethan, what are you proud of? Do you think everything will be fine with Ms. Elena's help?" "Let me tell you, Ms. Elena already has a boyfriend. You're just the third wheel." I laughed. "Why are you so excited? Are you her boyfriend?" Ryan also laughed, saying, "If you don't believe me, I'll take you to see." He led me to a nearby restaurant. On the way, I admired the upscale restaurants, eager to dine there. Surely it'd be much better than the university cafeteria. Right at that moment, Elena appeared not far away, sitting with a man with blonde hair and glasses, very fair skin. He looked familiar. "HK, the boyfriend of Ms. Elena," Ryan said with a bit of shock and fear. "Haven't you seen? He even peeled grapes for her." I looked closely and said, "This man's manual skills aren't great, are they?" Ryan looked at me strangely. The grapes weren't peeled carefully, many were torn. What a waste. His hands are quite nice but can't be used for peeling. Ryan's face suddenly froze. He urgently said, "Ethan, you don't need to pretend to be calm. You know very well Ms. Elena won't give up this tall, handsome, rich professor for you." My heart ached, but I pretended nothing was wrong. "Ah, yes, yes," I said, turning to leave. "Reception guy, I'm leaving. See you later." After returning home, I remembered who the blonde man with glasses was. He was a senior in my major, Vincent. I'd met him a few times at school. He's a rich kid who drives a supercar to school. Even my roommate lamented if I had a Lamborghini, I wouldn't be single. Looking at it this way, he and Elena are indeed a perfect match, and I'm just an ugly duckling. My family experiences made me doubt I deserved love. I'd hoped for parental love, but they shattered my illusions again and again. I also witnessed their loveless marriage. Over a year ago, I felt myself sinking deeper into my relationship with Elena. Instinctively, I felt fear of the future. I had no confidence I could win her love, yet her love for me was so passionate. I worried that over time, she'd grow tired or our relationship would become like my parents. I couldn't accept my beautiful love ending that way, so I chose to end it at the best moment. This way, at least I could keep the beautiful memories. I ran away. I'm a coward. However, we unexpectedly met again, making me wonder if we're fated. But seeing her and her boyfriend Vincent dining together hurt my heart a bit. It's for the best. I wasn't good enough for her from the start, so I should stop having such unrealistic fantasies. Or is this her revenge for deceiving her before? March 14th, early morning, she sent me a good morning message. I didn't reply. In the morning, she asked if I was free. Today at noon, she sent a question mark. I thought she was annoying, so I simply blocked her again. But I couldn't stop thinking of her, so I just wanted the basketball court to play. Exercise always helped me temporarily forget worries. I played until evening, then returned to the dorm with my basketball. As soon as I entered, I saw Elena sitting in the reception area. Seeing me, she suddenly stood up and stormed over. "What are you doing blocking me again?" I was scared, stepping back, gritting my teeth. "What does Ms. Elena want from me?" She stared into my eyes, which I couldn't meet, turning away. "Why are you making me unhappy? Why are you blocking me?" "I was just upset and wanted to play basketball," I said, upset. She frowned, hesitated, then said, "Tonight, change your clothes and have dinner with me." I didn't want to and was about to refuse when she added, "I've booked a spot at the Moon Festival. You always said you wanted to eat there." My stomach growled twice. I swallowed dryly, gritted my teeth, and said, "I don't want to go all sweaty and smelly for dinner." "Wait a moment. I'll shower first." I thought she already had a boyfriend, so I and she couldn't be together. This might be my last chance to be with her. Plus, after playing basketball all afternoon, I was really hungry. I wasn't polite with Elena, ordering mini dishes and eating ravenously. She didn't eat much, just sat beside me, watching me eat, occasionally serving me food. "Here," she peeled a shrimp, dipped it in sauce, and signaled me. "Is it delicious?" I hesitated, then nodded. "Very delicious. So fragrant." "What a pity," she said. "If I hadn't seen you with Vincent, I'd be touched to tears." After eating, I got into her yellow Maserati, feeling the cool breeze, very comfortable. No wonder everyone loves driving supercars. I thought she'd take me back to school, but she drove to her villa. I looked at her suspiciously, but she undid her seatbelt and approached me. Before I could react, her lips blocked mine. I was stunned for a long time before coming to my senses and pushing her away. "Elena, don't go too far." She looked at me in surprise. "Ethan, what's wrong?" "Wrong? I deceived you before, it was my fault. I suddenly broke up with you and you hated me. I understand if you want revenge, I don't mind. But is this worth it for your boyfriend?" I looked at her angrily, breathing heavily. "What boyfriend?" She looked confused. "You're still pretending to be with me, right?" I sneered, saying, "I saw you that day having dinner with that blonde guy at the restaurant near the company. He peeled grapes for you so carefully." She smiled and said, sat in the driver's seat, buckling up. "So you're jealous?" After starting the car, 10 minutes later, we stopped in front of another villa in the southern city. She got out, opened the villa's outer door, and led me to it. The doorbell rang and an impatient male voice shouted, "Who is it at this late hour?" A blond man in pajamas and glasses opened the door. "Why are you here?" Elena pointed at me and said, "Now explain our relationship to him." The blond man looked at me, then at Elena. "All right, finally you've escaped single." He waved at me and said, "Hello, I'm Vincent, and I'm her half-brother." I stared at him. "What?" "Yes," he said. "We have the same mother but different fathers." I looked at Elena, who nodded. "Our mom remarried and had Vincent after that." After explaining to me, she smiled and said to Vincent, "That day he saw you having dinner with me near the company and thought you were my boyfriend." "Oh," he said. "By the way, he also said you're terrible at peeling grapes." Vincent and I looked at each other, smiling awkwardly. "Hello, senior," I said. "I'm also studying jewelry design at Han University." "What a coincidence," he said. The two of us chatted word by word until a sweet female voice called from inside, "Brother Vincent, are you okay?" "Yeah," he replied. It seemed we interrupted Vincent's matters. We stepped out of the yard and sat back into the Maserati. She looked at me, smiling. "Ethan, do you still doubt me now?" I blushed and said, "I'm sorry I misunderstood you." She looked truly charming with her red lips pursed. I swallowed, my breathing quickening. She kissed me without explanation, her soft lips gently pressing against mine. We kissed for a long time. She leaned into my hand. "Aren't you going to school tonight?" I hesitated, then said okay. After everything was done, she asked me to sing Little Star for her to fall asleep. When I woke up the next noon, I felt sore all over. She was in my arms, smiling at me with sleepy eyes. I looked around and yawned, gradually remembering last night. "Elena, you've made me suffer so much," I said. She pinched my face, laughing wickedly. "H-Page, who told you to misunderstand and block me? This is your punishment." "Boss," I said helplessly, laughing. She always liked to act. "By the way, why did you think of going to that restaurant near the company?" she asked. "Ryan took you there." Ryan was him. The smile on Elena's face immediately vanished. "Isn't he your cousin?" Why does he keep causing trouble for you? The New Year's Eve dinner at your house was the same. He dared to humiliate you mercilessly in front of me. I helplessly sighed, then recounted my family story to Elena. People say I wasn't treated well by my family since childhood. My dad liked Ryan but hated me. My mom always liked to criticize me. My dad and aunt had fabricated lies to deceive her. Because my family situation was terrible, I didn't even dare tell her. That was why I broke up with her. I had no confidence in our future. I was afraid she'd still leave me after knowing my family situation. Instead of this, it's better to end the relationship at the best moment, so we can keep the beautiful memories. Elena's eyes were a bit teary. Ethan, you're so pitiful. But don't worry. I won't care about this, and you don't need to care about what they think. If they don't like you or love you, let me love you. I stood stunned for a moment, asking her. But didn't you say you hated me to death? Silly. She lightly punched my chest. Of course, that was just angry words. As long as you don't block me and run away without a word, I'll always love you. This girl, Elena, truly moved me. After resolving the misunderstanding, I quickly went to Elena's company for an internship. The company was launching a jewelry-related project new to the company. I still had much to learn, so Elena arranged for a veteran employee to guide me for a few days. I noticed many colleagues were secretly criticizing me. I was still wondering if I'd worn the wrong clothes or done something wrong when I overheard colleagues in a restaurant saying, "Have you heard? That new intern is Ms. Elena's little lover." "I've heard," they said. "The whole company knows now." Humph. At first, I thought he was a top student from Han University, but he's just using connections to get in. I took out my phone, pressed the recording, and went to them. "You all know very well about Ms. Elena's relationship. Let me tell you, I'm Ms. Elena's lover." They were stunned for a moment, looking at each other, then said, "The whole company knows. Are you still pretending to be innocent?" "Exactly," Ryan said. "Ms. Elena already has a boyfriend. Everyone knows this beauty has an owner, but you still try to seduce her just to get into our company through connections." I knew it was Ryan. I took out my phone, pointed at them, and said, "Don't be fooled. I've recorded this. You and Ryan will go back to confirm with Ms. Elena." They were terrified, their faces pale. I ignored them and went straight to Elena with the recording. "Yes," she said. "I didn't intend to speak so loudly." Before resolving everything out of jealousy, he destroyed my jewelry design documents. Before, I was worried about my family and never spoke up. But this time I won't let him get away with it. Elena directly ordered Ryan to be fired and issued a company-wide announcement explaining Ryan's rumors about her. After the truth was revealed, people came to apologize to me one after another. I didn't blame them because I felt like a person who used connections. I confided my thoughts to Elena, who comforted me. "At first, I told you I hired you because you're a talented jewelry design student. Although they're doubting you now, I trust in your talent. You can prove yourself to them soon. Moreover, the company has no rules against office romances. You don't need to care what they think. It's not important. For years, you've suffered because you cared too much about others and neglected yourself." After hearing her words, I looked back at my past and realized she was right. I nodded. "From now on, I want to live for myself." "That's great," she said, handing me the car keys. "What does this mean?" I looked at her suspiciously. Elena smiled mischievously, saying, "They like to gossip, don't they? From now on, you'll wait for me to work every day to annoy them. I've wanted to give you this car for a long time, but I've been too busy and forgot." Seeing the three-prong logo on the keys, I swallowed. "This is a Maserati." I took the keys and thought of the stray cat I'd been feeding. Elena, can I keep a cat at home? Before, you secretly kept a stray cat in the building downstairs." Her face suddenly became unnatural. I knew she had neophobia and didn't like small animals. After a moment of silence, she nodded. "If you like, bring it home. If it's not useful, just leave it in the yard." "Right," I said. "The villa has such a big yard. We could keep a whole litter, not just one." After getting Elena's permission, I immediately drove the Maserati to buy a pet carrier, cat food, and other things. The next morning, I drove back to pick up my kitten. As a result, I ran into my dad downstairs. "Ryan lost his job because of you, didn't he?" Seeing my dad's gloomy face, I couldn't help but get angry. He said too much and spread rumors about Ms. Elena. Isn't it normal he got fired? My dad pointed at me and shouted, "Don't protect Ryan." He said he lost his job because you reported him to Ms. Elena. I retorted, if I reported him, so what? If he hadn't spread rumors, how could I have complained? Tell him not to blame others for everything and to find his own faults. Also, when he's unhappy, don't take it out on me. If he can't bear it, let him hold and comfort himself. I couldn't help but laugh. I've been like this since I was young. Whenever Ryan was unhappy, my dad would make me unhappy. If Ryan bullied me, my dad would think I provoked him. If Ryan cried to my dad, he'd take Ryan to the cafeteria to eat with me. Even sparing a blow was a favor. A slap. My dad slapped my face. Ethan, have your wings grown so you dare speak to your dad like that? I was stunned for a moment, then shook my head. The ringing in my ears subsided. I put down the pet carrier and punched my dad's left face. Ah! He blushed, sitting on the ground and looking at me in disbelief. I stared at him fiercely. I've decided to live for myself from now on, so I won't tolerate your irrational abuse anymore. My dad covered his face, stunned. After a while, he stood up, wanting to hit me again. I clenched my fists, ready to fight back. Neighbors passing by came to watch. He cursed me, but I ignored him, holding the pet carrier to find the stray cat, gently placing it inside. "All right, Ethan, now you dare hit your dad," he said. "I don't care," I said, turning back to the car with the cat in hand. After dropping off the cat, I saw my mom looking at the yellow Maserati with interest and curiosity. "Wow, this car looks expensive. Did Ms. Elena give it to you? You're not ashamed to have a strong woman like her as your son. You've been bullied by Ryan and those people for years. Finally, you stood firm. Well done. Next time for the new year, remember to drive this car back," she said. I opened the car door, got in, and said to her through the window, "Don't think about it. I won't return to this house again." My mom was stunned. "What did you just say?" "He hit me, but I hit him back and knocked him down. To commemorate this moment, I decided to name the cat punch," I said, smiling awkwardly. Elena suppressed her anger. "Who is his son? How can there be such a father?" I helplessly laughed. "It's okay anyway, I won't return to that house anymore. Now I don't have a home. Don't drive me away. Otherwise I'll have to wander with Punch," she said, laughing. "Where are you going? I just helped you. Don't need to run away forever. As long as you don't drive me away, I won't run," I said seriously. "All right," she said. "Tonight I can't be happy with you," she said mischievously. I swallowed, scared. "Don't be too forceful, my face still hurts," I said. "Does your face hurt? Then tonight I'll rub it for you. It'll be okay when it's warm," she said, whispering something into my ear. My blood suddenly rushed, and I even had a nosebleed. Later, Ryan sent me a WeChat message asking me to help him beg Elena for the family's sake. I mocked this. Who's with his family now? For such a shameless person, I directly blocked him, not wanting to waste words. The rumors he spread about Elena became a scar. When colleagues found out, they didn't want to work with him. He was also arrogant and didn't want to work at a small company, so he stayed home. For some reason, I officially started working at Elena's company. My dad was tricked out of a lot of money by his beloved grandson, angering him so much he had a hypertensive crisis. My mom sent me a message saying, "Your dad and I now hate Ryan. Our family was deceived by that beast Ryan, taking all our meager savings. I want to divorce your dad. I don't care. It's not important anymore." Recently, I've been busy completing my graduation project. The diamond ring on it has our names engraved. It's the engagement ring I want to propose to Elena with. Later, finally in early May, I completed it excellently. On May 20th, Elena and I had dinner together. She suddenly said she needed to use the restroom. When she returned, she changed into a white dress. She took out a small box and opened it. A pure white ring set with a light blue and white diamond, a colorless and transparent diamond as pure as water. "This is the diamond ring I designed myself under Vincent's guidance," she said, her face unusually shy and worried. "Ethan, will you marry me? From now on, can you sing Little Star for me every night?" I also took out a ring box and opened it. Inside was a red diamond ring. This is my graduation project and the engagement ring I designed myself. It belongs to you, I said. Elena covered her mouth and cried. We put the rings on each other, and after a kiss she smiled and asked, Ethan, where did you get the red diamond? I smiled faintly, saying, I borrowed it from your brother Vincent. When I have money, I'll pay him back. Great, she said. He already knew we were secretly preparing the diamond rings. God didn't grant me a beautiful family relationship, but gave me the most beautiful love. I'm satisfied and grateful. Thank you for letting me meet her again.